Hello, everybody, and welcome to Alan Wall's Photography. This is Alan, and it is time for us finally to release the results from the November and December 2024 macro photography competition. This was an unprecedented 2-month-long wildcard competition where everybody was allowed to submit 3 photographs. And for such an amazing competition, who but Lester Lefkowitz could possibly be my guest judge? Nobody. Lester, welcome back.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, Michael. Alan, I'm sorry, I was just speaking to a Michael.
That's quite all right. I have been called a lot worse than Michael in this past weekend even, so don't worry about it. We have just spent 2 rather long days judging this competition. And yes. What was your overall impression of the contest and the quality of the pictures? Were you expecting this?
Well, first let me say I'm a little annoyed at you because you said this won't be so hard. But the problem was there was an enormous amount of really good stuff that I had to look at. And I really enjoyed it immensely because I got to see things I'd never see. The quality was tremendous. And the hard thing was deciding, should it be in this category or that category? The technical quality overall was remarkable. And I give Alan credit. He was your teacher and you all learned good from him. So it was a really enjoyable experience. Much more work than I think Alan and I expected because there were so many good entries, which was a pleasure, actually.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I was expecting a few more entries, but when we got right down to it, that they were so good, I don't know if we could have managed anymore.
Yeah, it was hard. I spent a lot of time trying to decide, gee, is this one any better than, in many cases, it wasn't that one was better than another. They were just different.
Well, that was the thing. I was looking forward to judging this competition with you for a lot of different reasons. But the one thing that I took away from this experience more than anything else was your ability to draw on your experience over decades of doing this as a world-renowned macro photographer, and having you look at a picture and immediately know how difficult it was to capture that image.
Yeah.
And that's something I seldom think about in this competition, but it's so important. Several times you said to me, yeah, but this one took more work. This was harder to do. And I really appreciated that.
And now there are times when people work hard and the result is pretty miserable. That's a different issue.
Yeah. That's my specialty.
Myself, yes.
But sometimes they pull it off, and today was this competition was no exception. It was it was hard though. It was hard coming up with a final list.
Mm-hmm. But it was good. I'm glad. Hard is good sometimes. And as I said, I saw a lot of stuff that I just was really impressive and enthusiastic for me. I looked at so many pictures and said, "Darn, I wish I had done that." The other area that I gave people credit for was imagination, seeing things we've never seen before, pursuing a project or a point of view or crawling on their belly somehow to see something I've never seen before. And that gave them a lot of credit.
Absolutely. And for me, a big part of the competition is using an image to tell a story. And there was a lot of storytelling in this, and I loved that.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to take care of a couple of bits of housekeeping before we begin. Let me tell you first how the judging was done. Both Lester and I had the photographs for a couple of days by ourselves to go through them, and we made an initial list of finalists, and then we compared them in a meeting that went for several hours. And in that meeting, we discovered we had selected pretty much the same photographs, not necessarily in the same.
For sure, yeah, it was remarkable how similar.
That's always a good sign. Always a good sign. But then we came to a meeting of the minds and decided on a final order, and we're going to share that with you today. That's the purpose of this meeting. But I'm going to remind you of something before we go any further. Lester, as many of you know, is the author of a very fine manual of close-up and macro photography. We've talked about it a few times. You've seen it. Many of you already own it. And it's one of the prizes. It's actually two of the prizes for the competition. But for those of you who are interested in learning more about this amazing man's macro history and about his work and the books that he has written, please go over to his website, www.macrophotographer.net. It's here on the screen. Follow that link. Go check out Lester. It's well worth the time. As far as the prizes go, if your name appears in the top 8, that is the number of prizes we have, is 8. If you're in the top 8, please go to my website, read the blog post that is published today. It is the address for that is www.alanwalls.photography.com/blog/awards. And at the bottom of that, you will see a listing of the winners, and below that, a listing of the prizes. I need you to follow the instructions that I've left there, and I will make sure that you get your prizes forthwith. 2 of the prizes are a 2-set collection of Lester's Manual of Macro Photography, which is an amazing prize. They will be signed and sent to you by the author. The other prize is one of those volumes. You pick volume 1 or volume 2. Thank you for that, Lester. I know that's a huge prize. Thank you for donating that. Thank you also to all of our other donors. I've listed the donors of the prizes in the prize list, so go check that out on that blog post. Shall we begin? As always, we're going to start with our honorable mentions. I think we had 11 in total, and we're going to go through those, and they are in no particular order. These are just the order that I listed them in. We don't get to orders until we get to number 10. So honorable mention number 1 was this photograph by Philip Mortensen. This is Antlers. You kick it off there, Lester. What in the world is going on here?
When I saw this, I chuckled. This is really fun. It looks like this poor insect just got an electrical shock. But
It does.
The symmetry is just wonderful. I think the choice of blue background against the red-orange insect is also a great choice. So it's very graphic. It stands out. I just enjoyed it. It was just fun.
I like it too. You know, one of the things that's unusual about it is that he shot this from underneath the insect. This is a ventral view showing the mouth parts in more detail than you'd see if it was shot from above. That was also surprising, unusual, and interesting to me.
Yeah, and the symmetry is just wonderful. It's just
It is.
perfect.
It is. And the bug was cleaned,
Yeah.
carefully and thoroughly cleaned. I love that. Great honorable mention. Well done, Philip. Congratulations. I think another one we both instantly took to and agreed on as a definitely to be in the top 20 was number 2, which was by Russ Richards. This is Golden Pheasant. What do you think?
Yeah, the color, of course, just grabs your eye immediately, but done well. You know, as he's filled the frame, there's nothing here but I guess those feather edges, and the repetition, the patterning, and the fact that it's totally in focus from lower left corner to the upper right, also I think technically makes it excellent.
It's really, really pleasing abstract. I love these feather photographs. I'm a sucker for them. And this one, the complementary colors just work so well. Eye-catching, striking, held my interest. What do you think about the cluster of feather fronds down here on the right at the center that are at a slightly different angle? Did that detract or add to the interest of the picture for you?
I never considered that, but I actually like it. It's going off in a slightly different direction. Yeah, I'll say I like it that way.
I like it too. For some reason, it held my attention because it made me wonder what was going on, but it doesn't take away from the picture, but it adds interest.
Yeah,
I like
think
it.
if this is from a butterfly, it just needs to comb its hair a little better.
Well, it's from a pheasant. It's from a bird.
Pheasant. Okay.
Presumably, that's
Right. It says pheasant. Yeah, that's what it says. It must be the case.
It is a very pleasant pheasant. At number 3, this yeah, little I can say about this. This is one of my favorite photographers and one of my favorite students too. This is Klaus Gilloy's Meeting Through Macro. What do you think of this, Skipper?
Well, it's coming right at you. There's no hiding from it. That straight on view is unusual, and I think very strong for that reason.
It's the view is very cool, definitely, but there is a quality to this photograph, a depth to it that you just don't see that often. You can
Yeah,
zoom in to 300% on this, and it's still sharp.
yeah.
It's Klaus uses a technique that I think you and I talked about some when we talked a few months ago. He does handheld continuous light focus stacking with
Mhm.
a high frame rate global shutter. Is that something you've ever experimented with?
I did the same thing, but I used it for video. In other words, I had a bright LED light on the camera
Hmm.
and just set it for video mode at 30 frames per second, which accomplishes basically the same thing.
Except that the way he's using his Sony is he's getting 120 frames per second. So he's able to stack living, moving insects in under a second
Uh-huh.
and get this kind of picture. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, as I said, at 30 frames per second, I don't think I did moving insects, but ones that held still for a second or so. It does work. Uh, his is better than mine.
Well, his is a lot better than mine, but definitely, I wonder if we'll see his name again. Who knows? It's a competition after all. This is one that was terribly interesting. It's a Puccina pori. It's a disease that grows on leeks. It's by Roy Walker. I love this picture. What did you think of this one, Lester?
Well, the first problem is I had no idea what it was, and Alan had to explain why it really is so wonderful. Um, so I deferred to him, and as he explained it to me, I'm saying, yeah, this is very impressive.
It's one of those dust-like infections that gets on plants. It's called a smut or I can't remember what the other word for it is, but it looks like dust on the insect on the surface of the plant. And here it's going on a leek plant, and you can see the individual cells of the leek and these eruptions of the infecting agent. I just thought it was lovely. The
So this would be quite high magnification then, from what you're
contrast.
saying.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably around 20 maybe, or maybe
Really? Wow.
possibly a little
Okay.
higher.
Well,
It's
kudos.
honestly, I have never photographed. Oh, it was a rust. That's the name of the infection. I've never actually photographed this before, but now I'm going to. It's fascinating.
Uh-huh. Yep. Good.
Beautiful. All right. At number 5 by Rashid Al-Sumati, one of the most captivating pictures I thought of the whole series. Sleeping bees. Your thoughts, Lester?
Well, I was. Where did he find three sleeping bees? That's what I want to know. Um,
That's
Again, I give people credit for finding things I've never seen before or had the nerve to go and search for. So good capture for sure.
it apparently there are parts of the world in which these bees live. I think South America possibly, uh,
Hmm.
where this is not uncommon to find them sleeping in rows on twigs. But of
Ah,
course, I've never seen it either, except in competitions where it
well,
occasionally crops up. I thought these were particularly cute. I love the way bee number 1 on the left is kind of being sat upon by bee number 2.
yeah.
We know who the alpha bee is in that arrangement. Great picture. I loved it. Loved it. And at number, well, it's not really number 6, is it? It's just the 6th honorable mention. This one is by Amy Furman, a consistent producer of awesome photographs. This is Family Outing. Lester?
Well, as I told you when we discussed this, I'm a sucker for good slime molds, and this is a good one. It's like a happy. I like her title, family. It is. It's a happy bunch of slime family molds just going out for a little walk one afternoon.
I,
It's
I
jaunty. It's well composed. Everything is nice and sharp. It was just fun to look at. Just enjoyable.
I loved it too. I mean, it really is. Slime molds are addictive to photograph. Once you've found a few and you go looking for them, they're so hard to find because they're so little, but they're so rewarding because they give you
Mhm.
such great arrangements for your shots. This is a good one. I love it. I don't know what species it is though. I'm sure that some of our viewers will know. And
If
some,
I may make a suggestion, what I'm starting to do is just carry around a hand magnifying glass
Mhm.
as you go through the leaf litter and dead logs. It's a lot easier to see them that way because, as you said, they're so small.
You use a lit magnifying glass?
No, I just have a big, it's about 4 inches in diameter, that your grandfather had.
Alison Pollock is one of our
Sure.
well, you know Alison. I think you
Yes.
met her at the photography group that we
Right. Yep.
both attend. Alison is a world-renowned macro photographer of slime molds in particular, and she carries around a big lit magnifying glass.
Really. Well, that's probably even a better idea than mine. Sure.
Um, that the one she has is really expensive, but I've got a cheap one. Doesn't work very well, but yeah, it's a good idea. All right, moving on. George Simpkins had the seventh honorable mention with a really, I thought, technically remarkable photograph of a fumwort seed. That sounds like something Harry Potter would have found. What do you think of this fumwort seed?
Well, it is a tour de force in terms of lighting and technique. To have every one of those little facets clearly visible is just tremendous. My comment was I just found the background off-putting. It's so bland and the color is military green. And I personally think it took away from the tour de force of lighting that very difficult black seed.
Yeah, the background didn't bother me, and I agree with you. The way he's able to control the reflections on this seed was pretty clever. I don't know if he used polarized light or cross polarization, but he somehow managed to get all the detail with no blown highlights, even though it's clearly a shiny seed. Have you ever seen one of these seeds?
I have not.
I've become a big fan of seed photography in the last year, also thanks to Alison Pollock, who won an award in the Nikon Small World this year with a seed photograph. So
Uh-huh.
there's a lot to look at. At number 8, or at the 8th honorable mention, not in any particular order, I would remind you, is John Sperry's Golden Tortoise Beetle. What was your reaction to this one?
This grabbed me right away when I was looking through the initial submissions. Um, it looks like some kind of a porcelain object that you might find in the curio shop. Uh, and what also I think enhanced it tremendously is the leaf on which it's sitting. I think the combination of that very, very smooth kind of hard shell insect and the busyness and the veins in the background, and even the colors. I know it's a little hot in terms of the highlight detail on the top, but I think difficult to light. And again, something very different that I haven't seen before. And so I just enjoyed looking at it.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was very nice. What did you think of the choice of focal planes? He has the focus drop off right at the back of the beetle. I thought that was very nicely done.
Yes, yeah, because it puts the emphasis on the foreground and on the veins in the leaf. That's fine. You don't need all of that in focus. In fact, it might detract.
Agreed. Agreed. Very nicely done. And we have, I think, 3 more honorable mentions. Grimia number 3 by Jesus Sanchez. This is a close up of some moss, I believe.
I saw it as a bunch of tadpoles. I mean, metaphorically, not real. And so I like the busyness. It looks like they're all rushing around somewhere. Uh, Again, something I've never seen before, and so that makes it more enjoyable for me. But technically, again, excellent, like most of the entries. So that's my opinion.
I agree. I mean, I actually have a clump of moss under my microscope that was sent to me by actually by George Simpkins. And I was looking at it just this morning, and it has exactly the same structure as this photograph that I really hadn't paid any attention to before. I
Mhm.
think it's really clever that the fruiting body, or the whatever they call these pod things, right in the center of the photograph is the only one that's got a pink tint to
Yeah.
it. I
Uh-huh.
like that. It's
Mhm.
it's eye-catching.
Good,
It's
for
clever.
sure.
All right, well done, Jesus. That's a lovely photograph, and we have a couple more um, from Pierre Seurat, Harlequin bug. This is a bright thing. What did you think?
Again, it's another one that just jumped out at me as soon as I saw it. Certainly the red color, the fire engine red. But I think, we see so many insects shot with flash with a black background. And I think that gets tedious. And I really admire what Pierre did by shooting it, I would assume, with available light, or maybe there's a hint of a little bit of flash there. But using the background and the color of the foliage, whatever it is in the background, I think adds to the contrast between the red insect and the green or cyan color in the back. I like the angle. It's all nice and sharp, straight top-down view. So caught my eye. I liked it.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was a nice capture, and yeah, sharp as a tack where it matters, and nicely out of focus where it doesn't. The background's
Yeah,
pleasing.
just right.
Our last honorable mention is from Robert Stowrost, and this highlights one of the important things that I like to look at when I'm judging competitions is the title of the photograph. This is Weevil Knievel,
Yeah.
and I have something of a weakness for weevils anyway, so this is a close up of a weevil's knee,
Mhm.
and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's just, who else would have done this, with photograph of a weevil's knee, And so again, he gets lots of credit for being original and creative, as well as technically perfect. And
Yes,
even the background, that little bit of fall off in the background adds a lot as opposed to a plain background.
I agree.
There's a bit of a so-called hot spot right behind the knee, and the tapered fall off, it gives a lot of dimension as opposed to just a blank flat color.
Yeah, totally agree. I love to use gradients in backgrounds for sure. This reminds me of a statement that I've heard Rick Littlefield make on numerous occasions when it comes to a close-up photograph like this is for it to be successful, you need to learn something from it. It needs to show you or teach you something. And honestly, I had no idea what a weevil's knee joint looked like until I studied this
I mean,
picture.
it looks like a ball and socket a bit,
It
doesn't it?
it is. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I hadn't realized that it looks exactly like the things on my bendy arms. It's just I really learned a lot from looking at it.
It
So
it probably looks like something in my hip.
no, that's shiny titanium.
Not yet. Another few years, I'll need the titanium one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, that's it for the honorable mentions, and they were indeed
Yeah,
all worthy of
it
mention.
it was. It was just hard to decide, there was so many others we might have put in.
Would you agree that there were at least half of those honorable mentions that started out in the in the top 10 that
Oh,
were
yeah.
forced out by what we're getting ready to see?
Yeah, we just kept moving things around, but boy, the difference between an honorable mention and was someplace in the top 10, it's hard to say,
Yeah,
Uh,
fractions of a point on my scoring
Yeah,
system.
we just had to had to do something, but, it wasn't definitive. We wouldn't say, "Oh, yeah, this is better and this isn't as good." It never came down to that.
Not really, not really. I mean, because the quality at this level was almost uniform. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
very,
they're
very
all
impressive.
everyone should be grateful. I mean, they're all good,
Yep, no doubt. Well, I loved number 10, Roy Walker with
Mhm.
Rhino Scaffer Dawny, Homeward Bound. It's a weevil.
But it's it's funny, I did not look at the titles, but that was my sense that here's this guy or gal going out for a walk on a nice day, going uphill. It's just pleasant, and again, not a black background. Um, Perfectly in focus. The detail is remarkable to look at. With all the legs in just the right place. Yeah, it was just well done and interesting to look at, and happy.
I agree. It's there's something about weevils that just make me smile. I mean, not some of the really ugly ones, but most of them. They're just pleasing to look at, and
But
this was no
but
exception.
this is jaunty, if that can
It
use
is
that word,
jaunty. It is jaunty, and he has, like you mentioned, he has it anatomically perfect. This is what it would look like walking up a branch, and
Yeah,
that's
and there's nothing in the way.
yeah,
You can look at every square inch or square micron
yep.
in this case.
Beautiful job. Number 10, Roy Walker, Homeward Bound. Very nice, Roy. Well done. There are going to be some really familiar names in the next few minutes, and one of those is Ingolf Kuntz with Six Pack at number 9. Your thoughts, Lester?
Yeah. Well, certainly lots of people, including Alan Walls, have some great photographs of insects, but this is a little different and a little more interesting. The angle particularly is nice, much more dynamic at that 45 degree, and the detail, the positioning of all the legs is remarkable. And so it's really great to look at. If I may say, I wish it was a little bit lighter, but other than that, it's a new way of looking at an insect.
Yeah, it is, and I love it, and that's one of the things that Ingolf does so very well is he surprises with his compositions. I love this. I it's a shot that I have done many times with the back of a wasp. I don't think I have ever thought to shoot it to emphasize these structures on the underside, but it does look like a six pack where
But
the
that's why he gets the credit. He did something different that we don't do.
yep,
And
yep,
then he even composed it in an unusual, but I think very strong manner. And
yep.
those two things came together. I mean, I clearly his technique is impeccable,
Yeah,
on top of all of it.
absolutely. Yeah, he nailed the technique. I love the diagonal too. I mean,
Yes,
it's
yeah,
very pleasing to look at.
that gives it great dynamic for sure.
Next up is one of my former guest judges who did a spectacular job judging a competition a few months ago and entered this one himself. This is Harold Hall at number 8 with I'm This Big.
Right, you've got to laugh when you see it, right?
I have never seen a snail doing this. I mean, I've seen lots of snails doing lots of things, but this shot was so refreshing and so
Yep.
unique.
Well, for sure, and that's what it's about. It's just well, we both giggled, right? So,
Yep, yep.
so you know it's worthwhile.
It's I love the slime, the visible sliminess at the base of the thing is just
Right.
so palpable.
Yep.
And anytime you can anthropomorphize something in a competition and take
Right.
eye stalks and make them into arms and hands,
Yeah.
it's
He's got
clever.
his arms up and he's cheering.
Exactly, exactly. Well, Harold's got a great sense of humor, a great eye, and it's a lovely photograph. Well done. I love the eccentric placement of the star of the show there to the side.
Uh-huh.
I think it emphasizes the subject. Nice. Talking about things you don't often see, were you familiar with the Dallas grass and seeds that Alan Lyle depicted in the number 7 place photograph?
Oh,
With
sure. I knew
was
about this. I have tons of this around my studio.
yeah, you have to pull your way through the Dallas grass to get to the camera, I'm
But
sure.
again, here is something I'm sure almost nobody has ever seen or attempted to photograph. And he did it. He did it in a great way. The detail, the diagonal, the contrast between the little seeds and the green stalk. It's wonderful to look at.
It really is, and I have no idea what these little things with the arms are. I don't know if they're part of the seeds or animals, but yeah, I couldn't take my eyes off it. I love
Yeah,
this picture.
yeah. Really, like you said, you could look at this for a long time and study it.
This next one was one that you championed. There were a couple of pictures throughout this competition where one or the other of us made an argument why we thought it should be higher than we had it. And this was one that you loved.
Yeah.
Paul Bullock's Hibiscus Stigmatic Surface at number 6.
Yeah.
I know it was the title probably that captured your imagination.
No, again, I'll use the same word I've used before. It's a jaunty. It's bursting out with color and water and life. It's very strong. Again, I've seen this without the water drops, and it's much more bland. It's bright and cheery, and I liked it that way. And again, technically, well done, very well done.
I liked it too. I was wondering whether or not Paul had somehow put these drops of water, misted them onto the plant, or if they'd found it this way. I don't know. It doesn't make any difference.
Photographers have been known to do that, you know.
Yeah, you've been known to move bulldozers around, haven't you? Or
yeah, that's true.
reposition container ships.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Lovely picture, Paul. Well done. Number 6. At number 5, another frequent flyer with the competition is Julie Botts with Larry the Lava. This one also appealed to you right off the bat.
Boy, when I saw this, you know, when I was going through the initial submission, I mean, in my head, I said, that is a winner. I just think that the backlighting is just perfect. The arch makes it so graceful, and all those little hairs are perfectly sharp. You can see every one. I just thought it was wonderfully done, unusual. The lighting, everything comes together to make it a very, very strong photograph.
I was impressed with it too. I had some inside information on this because I know Julie, and she participates in most of our activities. This was taken through a microscope that she only just acquired. So this was one of her first pictures through a microscope, which I thought made it even more impressive.
But I assume it was still stacked with the microscope, correct?
I believe so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just fascinating to look at. You know, to zoom in and look at every cubic micron here. It's just, I'm just staring at it now. Yeah, I'd love to have that on my wall.
There you go, Julie. It doesn't get much better than that. Number 4, someone with a Sony, and the strangest title of any of the pictures we had, but what a picture. This is Tantalizing Tussock Toss, whatever in the world that means. What do you think of this one, Lester?
Alan, we both love this one, right? For sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Again, an unusual angle. Who photographs the underside of a caterpillar, but done just so well, the symmetry and the detail. When you zoom in,
you guys need to zoom in on this picture and look at each of these feet, because this is packed with information.
Yeah, and
gorgeous.
The perfect symmetry of it is just, it looks like it goes on forever. You know, if this image was taller, there'd be twice as many feet.
I love the way the focus drops off as you go through the bristles at the top, so they become more of a glow around the caterpillar than you would have got if they'd been in focus. I think the choice of focal plane was great.
Exactly, because it puts the emphasis where it's necessary.
Right. Still stacked though, I'm sure, to get that amount of detail, but just beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're into the top 3 places, and at number 3, this is the first time this has ever happened. I have no idea what Robert Stowrost's Fiend Without a Face is, but I love this photograph. What about you, Lester? What is this?
Do you remember what I said to you? I call this biologically mysterious.
Yeah. It's very it looks like part of a glomerulus of a kidney, but I know it's not that. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, it definitely belongs in a horror movie, but just so fascinating. And the black and white you know, the black and white treatment of this, I think,
Uh,
is spot on. I think color would intrude on
mhm.
the mixed up geometry that we have here.
Agreed. I mean, this is all about the geometry of these tubules, whatever they are. I have to find out what this is because the repeating pattern of it, the how the thing on the left looks like the smaller brother of the thing on the right,
Yeah,
making you wonder if there's a gigantic one of these off the page to the right. I mean, if they, I don't know what we're looking at here, but
yeah. I
I
think
need definitely need to get with Robert to find out what this is.
this both of us, this caught our eye right away.
Oh gosh, I couldn't stop looking at it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Robert is known for this. He's known for taking an interesting subject and making it fascinating by his monochrome palette and the way he
mhm.
has arranged the photograph. I love this. Do you think this would have been equally successful positioned vertically, or is that not material to you?
I'm gonna turn my head.
Well, you can turn the
No, you
paper
know
around.
what? No, it doesn't work well. Nope. I'm gonna stick with horizontal.
Yeah, I agree. I accidentally looked at it vertical when I dropped the print I had on the floor, and I just didn't think it had the same fascination to me.
Yeah,
Strange
no,
that.
keep it this way, Robert.
Definitely. Okay, we're into the top two. Boy, it had to be something good to beat that. But yeah, they were. At number two, maybe not a huge surprise to many of you, it's Klaus Gilloy with Close Encounter. Wow, so much on this. Lester?
I'll have to tell everyone what I told you. I must admit, when I was going through these quickly, I said, "Ah, another butterfly. You know, it's well done, but so what?" Alan had to set me straight and say, "Did you see what's under the leaf? That's amazing. There's a spider under there."
You know, the only way you capture photographs like this is by spending a lot of time with a camera out in nature and looking and slowing down and soaking it all in. I saw this as you did. I looked at it and I thought, well, this is unusual for Klaus to submit two skipper butterflies in one competition. And I was going to move on until I looked at the shadows and realized that some of the shadows weren't actually on the leaf, they were under the leaf. And only then did I see the spider. And there's something about keeping a secret from the viewer that they're going to get eventually if they keep looking, and then pow, the whole picture
Yeah.
suddenly becomes eerie and creepy and threatening, yet gorgeous and technically close to perfect. I
Yeah.
love this picture.
You know, in some ways, it's good that you don't see the whole spider.
Oh God, yeah,
It's
absolutely. This is Hitchcock would have loved this
yeah,
picture.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I have to admit that Alan had to kick me in the rear end and say, "Hey, you idiot! Look what's under the leaf."
I did not use that word, and I was smiling. Number one, and I think we both agreed on this right off the bat. This is somebody who I forgive me if I do know you, Merrick, and we have spoken in the past, but I don't think so. This may be your first competition with us. This is Merrick Bailey's Gasteroptidae in flight. It's an ichneumon wasp, and it is absolutely spectacular.
It's it's a flying ballerina. It, it's
It's
it's graceful, elegant, you know, and the fact that I assume this was some kind of a trap, you know, a light trap to capture this, but it's you couldn't get a better angle, a better shape. Um, the way it looks like a drawing. It's just so
yeah.
marvelous.
And the detail. I
Yeah,
mean, you zoom in and in and in on this, and it is so sharp. It is so well executed, and to get that kind of symmetry, it's got to be close to impossible. These things fly fast, and they are
sure.
tiny.
Yep. Yeah.
One of my top 3 photographs of my own is this species in a different pose, and it's titled Ballerina because it looks for all the world like a dancing ballerina.
Really? Uh-huh.
Yeah, and which is part of the reason I took to this, because this is so much better than my picture, so much
Uh-huh.
better.
I can't. This is better than anyone's picture.
Yeah, it really is. And a tiny bit of motion blur in the tip of the left wing that has
Mhm.
moved back to show the 2 sets of forelegs. I just don't know how you can
Yeah,
capture a moment any better than that.
yeah. It's a tour de force of art and technology for sure.
Loved, loved,
Yeah,
loved this picture.
yeah.
Well, congratulations to Merrick on a spectacular photograph. Well done. This is going to appear on my website for the next month where people can look at it. To Klaus Galoy in second place, and to Robert Storost for his third place winner. Robert, get in touch with me. Let me know what in the world that is a picture of, so I don't seem like such an idiot when I'm talking about it. And Lester, thank you so much, both for taking the time to do this, teaching me everything you have taught me, and for your generous donation of 3 volumes of books for our prizes.
Well, I must say I really did enjoy it. I really did. To get to see, I'm on a lot of forums and I see a lot of amateurs and a lot of weak pictures, shall we say. And this was just a pleasure. And it inspires me in a way, it gives me a kick in the rear end um, to see people working at such a level that should push us all.
Could not agree more. It's very humbling to do this. It's my favorite part of my job is this competition. We do it every month, and I hope that at some point in the future I can twist your arm into coming back and doing this again with us.
Well, if it was as pleasurable as it was this time, well, we'll do it again. As someone who's been a teacher for many years, they say the best teachers are the one who create students who are better than they are.
I would have to
And
agree with
and
that.
you and certainly you did that in this case.
Well, thank you so much. It was great to see you again. And everybody, remember www.macrophotographer.net is the address you need to go to. It's up there on the screen. That's where you can check out Lester's work, his books, everything. This guy's been doing this longer than I've been alive.
Well, please, I'm
I'm
not
an
that
old
old.
man. Thank you, Lester.
Good.
Take care.
I enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.